Good morning. To some of you, good afternoon. To some of you, it's not even the start of a day. One of the things that I like about Facebook Live is being able to talk to people live and to talk to you in real time from wherever it is at this particular time of the day. For me, it's actually the morning of September the 1st. It is the first day of the month of September. We talked yesterday about it being the end of the month of August and the conclusion of the first 8 months of the year. And we were going to begin what is really, for me personally, a favorite time of the year. The last 4 months for me have always been special. I think back to the events that take place during the course of my life here on Earth. And I remember that I was always excited about the fact that we were going back to school. Now, in my time as a grade schooler and then a junior high student and finally a high school student, we had usually the start of school immediately following the Labor Day holiday, the first Monday. But school always invariably started right at the beginning of September. So it was the beginning of a great time, new excitement, new opportunities and activities, but it also was the lead up to some of my very, very favorite things. The weather starts to cool off and become a little kinder, especially if you lived where I did in northwest Georgia, right next to the city of Chattanooga, and being from really southeast Tennessee, my birthplace, growing up in an area where there are mountains and ridges, and there is this, for want of a better term, the foothills of the Appalachians. Beautiful country, but also weather change. Milder, cooler weather, eventually the emergence of cold weather, and of course the arrival of, well, Labor Day was a holiday. We did not, in that particular time, interestingly enough, observe Veterans Day, which is November the 11th. Today we do, and I'm thankful for that fact. A great group of people. My late father, was a veteran, and there were many veterans in my family. Then there is, of course, obviously, Halloween with all of its trappings. I just enjoyed Halloween. I enjoyed the colors of Halloween and the fun. It was whimsical, and it was also right there on that edge where things were beginning to go dormant and many things began to die as we went into that cooler season. The leaves were falling, the colors of autumn, spectacular. And then comes, of course, that big finish where you really have, over the course of about a month and a half, no less than 3 big events. You have Thanksgiving and all that is associated with that, and I loved getting up and watching the parades and then watching the football games, and in the midst of all of that, having the traditional Thanksgiving meal with family and friends. And since I had a big family, I would spend part of that time with my family on my father's side, the Morrow side, and then we would go in the afternoon and spend time with the Kendall side. That was my grandmother's side. And we would do this. And that was fun. And of course, back then I didn't have to worry about how much I ate because it just didn't show. Today, I have to be far more particular. But that was then. This is now. Then you go and you have the holiday season. And Christmas, traditionally, too, was much more confined to the month of December. Then you have the lead up to December 25 and Christmas and all the fun and the activities surrounding it. And then 1 week later, exactly 7 days later, is New Year's. Big, 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 big things. Lots of great memories. So the final 4 months for me are special. Here we are. September the 1st. It's arrived. And as I said yesterday, during this 77-day video challenge, this being day 2, that for me, the end of August was significant, and it needed to end on a positive note, but it also meant we now were arriving and entering in, and we are now in the day of the first day of September, the first day of the final 4. And if there were ever lots of things coming, step back and realize there's a lot coming. But I'm not going to talk so much about that. I introduced you yesterday to my power word for living, the word that my wife and I together as a team came up with. It started as a word that we used for the year 2018. I told you about 2018. And I explained to you that the events of 2018 would move towards a transformational moment in our lives where we would say, based upon how that word played a very important, effective, and positive role in our lives, and it was one that we were working on to develop as a best practices for living process, it became our power word for life when we had the emergence of 2019. We were excited about 2019. We had no idea what it would bring, but we were excited about it. Great things were happening. I was already involved in some amazing things, and those things were just really firing my enthusiasm. I know, for example, one of my friends who's watching me here this morning online is Mark Guy. And Mark Guy is very special to me, not just because of his incredible friendship, but he has also been a great coach. He has been a mentor. He has been a teacher. He's also been a stabilizing force in helping me understand that consistency is extremely important. And so as I am working now on day 2 of my 77-day video challenge, and it will be 77 days that I hope and pray I'm successful in joining with you here as I am right now live on Facebook at this hour of the morning here in Central Florida, USA. It's about 25 minutes after 10 a.m. in the morning. Day's already been fun, a lot of activity, more to be done. And there's work to be done as well. So there's plenty to keep me busy. But I want to go back again to resolve. I told you yesterday that the first letter in resolve, the letter R, stood for resilience. Last night I had the opportunity for about an hour and 30 minutes to talk with a group of people from Nebraska and from Chicago. And this was in conjunction with a friend of mine. Her name is Betty. I also know her as Gabriella. Gabriella is her more formal name. But Betty was celebrating her 80th birthday, and there had been a big birthday party for Betty just this past Sunday there in Chicago. But this was for the folks who could not make the trek to Chicago to celebrate her birthday, and we were on Zoom with Betty's daughter, Lynette. And thanks to Lynette, we were able to have a wonderful time of fellowship, learn more about Betty. I was surprised to find some things out about her that I did not know in the time that I have known her over these last roughly 2 years that we've been sharing together online with other friends. And one of the things that I had shared with her was a book called The Stoic Challenge by William B. Irvine. That is The Stoic Challenge by William B. Irvine. Jacob Smallberger, who is a member, excuse me, of the Vista Toastmasters Club in Orlando that met at the Dr. Phillips Library in Orlando. He is a big fan of Stoicism, but not Stoicism as some people like to think. Stoicism, for a lot of people, seems like a don't care attitude. I just simply don't care. I don't worry about it. It's not my problem to worry about. Now, Stoicism actually is a far more durable piece of mindset and personality. It is called a philosophy. And there is a famous name, Seneca, that is associated with Stoicism, and there have been other Stoics. I tend to be somewhat Stoic in the sense that I'm learning the important challenge of how to become tougher while getting calmer and being more resilient. And actually, if you look at the title of the book, and this is it right here, The Stoic Challenge. Now, understand you're looking, when you look at a camera on a telephone, everything's backwards. But this is the Stoic Challenge, and it says, A Philosopher's Guide to Becoming Tougher, Calmer, and More Resilient. And what did I tell you was the first letter of resolve? R. And what did the letter R for my late wife and I mean? It means resilience. Resilience becomes even more evident as we grow older. And hopefully what happens is that even though we may not have the strength that we once possessed because of the great power of youth and vitality and vibrance in all aspects of life, the thing that we do have is a stronger mindset. And human will, human psyche, is incredibly powerful, and if it's channeled in the right direction, it's incredibly powerful and transformative. But in order to be able to convert into an individual who practices resilience on a day-by-day basis, understanding that I have a definite plan of action, that is resolve, having a definite plan of action and having the mind of a person who intends to and will achieve that plan of action, the first component you must have is a tougher, calmer, and more resilient state of mind, body, heart, soul. You may not necessarily be physically as resilient as you used to be. To give you an example, I watched a documentary about the life of Michael Jordan as a professional basketball player. You know, he won, as a member of the Chicago Bulls, 6 world championships. But what's unique about those world championships is 6 of them were won in the space of 8 years. There was 3, and that three-peat was unprecedented because there had not been any great major modern club that had won 3 in a row for several decades. Then there was a period there where he thought he would take time off, and he did retire. And for him, it was a rest and rejuvenation process because he had worked himself feverishly up to the point of winning that 3rd championship. He's out for 2 years. He comes back, and they win 3 more in a row before he finally retires for good. But as you look at his life, and as you look at him physically, and there is a tremendous cavalcade of video to watch him, he is getting older. The durability is beginning to wane. He's not Superman. He's not Samson. He's a guy who, as he gets older, wear and tear comes in and takes place. But what he lost in his physical resilience, he fortified in his mental resilience, so that he knew how to play not better, smarter. Resilience will make you smarter, and if you start practicing resilience, it will make you better. But the better doesn't need to be equated with prowess, physical power. The better is equated with a steadfast, determined resolve. The resolve is the thing that is pushing you because you have mentally prepared yourself to do everything you can to do the very best you can at whatever it is you plan to tackle. The resolve also, through the power of resilience, helps you to be able to confront and handle and know what to do and tackle the things that come at you that you're not prepared for. At least not prepared as far as the expectation, because there is always that component of the unexpected, the change that comes that you didn't plan for, but change is inevitable. change will happen. Change cannot be stopped. It's not a question of the change, it's a question of what you're going to do with the change and how you make the right decision as to how that change is going to affect you and how you affect other lives. This became the process for how I wanted to look at life and how my late wife Donna wanted to look at life. We wanted to have a resilience, and that resilience simply was anchored first of all in our faith, understanding that we're in this world just like you are. We're not special in any way, form, shape, or fashion. We are simply people that have been graced with a wonderful gift. But that gift is something that we look forward to when we know that this life begins to wane and eventually this life will cease to exist. But while here, that becomes a mechanism of hope through faith in something that is greater and transcends what's here physically on this earth. So with that faith, we go about each and every day knowing that there will be circumstances that will come. We are prepared to confront those, to receive those, to accept gladly those things, to learn from those experiences, to even take what would be considered losses or defeats and possibly failures, and from those grow and learn even more. In doing so, a resilience begins to build because we begin to realize everything happening may not always be what we like, and a lot of it's so totally unexpected that it will hit us very, very hard. But resilience says, through all of it, there are answers, there are lessons, there are relationships, and there are opportunities that will come. And so you begin to build this attitude that because of resolve, no matter what comes at you, you will let yourself take it, either use it, get away from it, work around it, but most importantly, learn from it. Learn from it and step up your game. Darren LaCroix said this past Tuesday night in Claremont, when I had the pleasure of seeing Darren live as a guest of the Claremont Toastmasters Club, he said, "Are you all in? Do you have the mindset of being all in?" And all in doesn't mean that you're going to win all the time. Quite the contrary. You're going to experience losses every day, disappointments, defeats, setbacks. You're also going to discover through the process, if you're learning and you're using a resilient mind, as you toughen yourself up and at the same time develop that amazing ability to be calm in the midst of a storm, and that's a subject I want to talk about for sure. You get to the point there where you begin to realize that everything that's coming at you is happening for a reason. And what you do with it is what's important. How are you going to respond to it? Here's my cup of coffee to you. Resilience. Resilience can be defined in many, many ways, but for me, resilience is this. Since I have a definite plan of action, and that is the definition of resolve. Resolve meaning my plan of action is set, it's fixed, it's not a maybe, it's not a I want to be, it is, and my intentional efforts to do so and to achieve and to accomplish and to continually learn from, adjust, amend, recalibrate, reset goals and expectations. This is resolve. This is how I live each and every single day. I am resolved to come to you every day of the week for a period of 77 days and to talk to you about resolve and other things. And part of that is developing that character from the book, The Stoic Challenge, where I am reminded of how I can become tougher, not in a tough way, but tougher in my resilience of my personality to be able to accept what's happening, look at what's happening, examine it closely, see what I can do to apply it and learn from it, but at the same time to make the kinds of decisions that if I need to get out of the line of fire, I know an exit strategy. But the most important part of it is that in becoming tougher and calmer, I become more resilient. Resilience. Resilience is simply a choice. A choice. You don't get resilient just by physically doing things. You don't develop resilience just by studying and reading and applying yourself and stretching yourself mentally. You don't get resilient by learning how to make better choices in terms of the food you eat. You don't get resilient just by making better choices of the people that you associate yourself with. You become resilient because your mental state of mind says, I don't need to be reactive. I need to stop, look, listen, and only then, once I have stopped, looked, and listened, do I determine if I even should open my mouth. One of my keynote speeches that I have developed is called the 80-20 rule of relationship building. It takes resilience for a person to discipline themselves to look at someone intentionally and to listen to someone intentionally and to stifle themselves orally in an intentional manner so as to hear what that person is saying, to seek to know more about what that person is saying and what they're about, and then to dive in only when the opportunity is present and it's appropriate and it shows good manners and proper conduct and respect, and then ask more questions, get clarification. Resilience requires patience. Resilience requires sometimes stopping and waiting and letting it happen. Resilience is simply the practice, the best practice of in everything that you do, don't miss a single moment to understand every aspect of it from beginning to end. And only then do you open your mouth. If you ask, what do you mean 80-20? Well, you've heard the phrase, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you should listen more than you talk. Well, God also gave you, if you are fortunate and you're fully, gifted with the 5 senses, He gave you 2 eyes and 2 ears and 1 mouth. That's 5 things. Thinking in terms of the math, that means that the mouth represents 20% of that 5. So you really should listen to and watch 8 out of 10 times the person or thing that you are studying. This takes resilience because there's all of us who have something we want to say, and I see these arguments all the time. People never give each other a chance to talk. They talk over each other. It's crazy. The true gift of resilience in this life is standing still, being quiet, watching intentionally, taking notes in your mind, and if need be, take out a pen and paper and write down something because maybe you want to ask a follow-up question, but pay attention. Focus. 2 things happen. 1, you hear more, you understand more, and you have an opportunity to ask, to learn, and comprehend more. And the other thing that happens is that the person is saying, this individual actually appreciates what I'm saying and is willing to listen to me. Now, will they reciprocate? I don't know. There are some people that think they're always right. You run into them all the time. I used to think I was always right, and now I'm beginning to realize it's not a question of being right, even if I am right. The issue is rather, am I willing to listen, to understand, and can I have my mind changed? And am I willing to be open to the idea that my mind can be changed? My doctor changes my mind all the time of the things that I do with my life when it comes to physical situations. And at the age of 72, I want to take better care of myself physically. But until I actually start doing what my doctor tells me and I listen to it and intentionally make that choice, I'm not going to start to have a better quality of life. But here's the beauty of it. The doctor doesn't have to ask me if I'm doing it. He can look at the lab work like he did this past Tuesday at my doctor's appointment, and he can see, John, you're doing it right. You're doing it right too whenever you begin to realize that Stoicism, as I like to refer to it here in this challenge, is not about not caring. You care. We all care. We should care. We have feelings. We have things in our life that are special to us. There are people that we love desperately. I've got 2 incredible granddaughters. For me, everything about life is them. And here's the incredible beauty of that. I lost the greatest thing that was ever given to me in my life when I lost my wife in 2019. Standing there in the kitchen on a Sunday morning and watching her die right in front of my eyes. I wasn't stoic. I was devastated. I was broken. And I have been emerging out of that through Grief Share, through faith, through my Toastmasters family, through having productivity, and through better quality of life, through learning about Alzheimer's and other things and becoming more connected with that community, because Alzheimer's is what devastated my mom, my grandmother, and her siblings. It wiped out that side of my family. It's why I have this determination to do what I do. But the stoic part of it is this. It doesn't help anybody to be reactive, because reactions are not always good. Rather, it helps to watch, listen, keep your mouth shut except to ask for clarification, study it, analyze it, understand it, grasp it, apply it, be calmer about it, and watch as resilience begins to develop in your life, where you don't any longer become a victim of your emotions. You become less reactive, more measured, but the measuredness is a calm that allows you to make the right choices in the midst of a storm. It also, through resilience, allows you to be able to stop and live more effectively in the moment and see more about what's going good. To be able to read the notes on the screen of the phone from people whose names I know readily and people who are there for me this morning. Your presence is appreciated. Nothing I say may make a single bit of difference to you. You may watch and listen for a while, and then you may move on, and that's perfectly okay. This is not a popularity video. This is a video where I am being challenged to share my heart with you, to be honest with you, and to tell you that every single one of you are special, are important, you matter. You have something worth saying, something worth being heard. You have an ability that is worth being given to others, and it is worth being recognized for what it does for others. You are worth being here. But are you all in? And if you are all in, are you resilient enough? Do you have the resolve to be resilient enough to be so all in that you will discipline yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, in every way, form, shape, or fashion, so that you can be the best version of you? You can see the best version of the people you encounter. You can make better decisions, have better quality of life, and most importantly of all, learn to live more fully in today, because tomorrow has enough of its own problems. And it says in Scripture, What can you gain today that's going to add 1 minute to today to make it better that you're borrowing from tomorrow that hasn't even happened? And I'll tell you the truth, statistically, probably will not happen. You've heard the phrase, there are only two things that are guaranteed, death and taxes. Even I scoff at that. Death, yeah, okay, I get it. We all have basically an expiration date. But at the end of the day, the expiration date is not what I need to be thinking about. What I need to be thinking about is what's happening today. Well, here it is. This is day 2. First day of September 2022. My 77-day video challenge is up and running and on. There are people listening and watching, and I am telling you that the word that is the power word of my life is resolve, and that first letter, resilience, requires toughening up. And yet as you toughen up, you're not getting tighter and stiffer and more resistant, like you're packed in some kind of a protective cocoon. Did I say cocoon? Oh, Cancun. No, cocoon. Tougher, calmer, more resilient. Tougher, calmer, more resilient. Tougher, calmer, more resilient. Resolve to be resilient. Resolve to live with resilience. Resolve to be the type of individual that can be flexible, can be malleable, can be pliable. But don't ever turn your back on your values. Of all things that you do, stick to what you believe, embrace what you know is right, have the faith that you need, knowing that you do not require to give anyone proof of what it is you believe. You are only required to love others as you care about yourself. Some people will not want to love you back. Some people will actually not like you. They might even hate you, and for reasons that make no sense. That's not what's important. Seize the opportunity to build the relationships. Seize the opportunity to grow yourself physically, spiritually, mentally, financially, emotionally. Grow. Seize it. Seize it today. Don't say, tomorrow I hope. Say, today I will. Again, let me repeat it. Do not say, tomorrow I hope. It's okay to hope. But today I will. And I will is the only opportunity you have right now. Live in the moment. It's called resolve. And this is John Morrow on day 2 of my 77-day video challenge. Thank you to all of you that joined me today. Enjoy a fantastic and fabulous day. Be blessed, and remember, we're in the Final Four. A lot's going to happen. If the world stands and mankind doesn't try to end all things, there could very well be a tomorrow. You may very well have a tomorrow. But right now, even though we're in the Final Four, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Live today like you're going to die tomorrow. But serve humanity and dream like you'll live forever. John Morrow, have a great day. Thank you for joining me. Thank you to all my friends out there. Be blessed. I'll look forward, by the grace of God, to talking to you tomorrow. Until then,